What is going on, beautiful people of the internet? It is Mesa Sean, and we are back at it with some Destiny news, and this is coming from Eurogamer.net. I will link the article right at the top of the description, coming from Gamescom, where they sit down and they talk with the director of production, Jonty Barnes, and also a lead concept artist, Jesse van Dijk. I hope I'm not butchering that. It's D-I-J-K. I'll just put it on the screen. So they talk about a number of things, and specifically the level cap, raids, and the overall game size. I'll just go over some of my thoughts and opinions as well as some highlights from the interview. So the first feedback they were talking about is obviously what came out of their analytics from the beta launch and how they were able to scale the demands that were on their servers, because they just had so many people that participated, and that they feel confident it's going to run smooth on all 4 consoles. So next layer of fine-tuning for them said it's going to be just better matchmaking, making better combinations for people to meet, but really also tuning geographical location. And we know that can be a real issue, especially with PvP and multiplayer with many games, is servers and where they're located. And being partied up if you're in the US with someone that might be in the UK or across in Australia could result in some serious lag. So they definitely are looking to fine-tune that. They also talked about classes, and it's the common theme that the Warlock was the one that dominated, and that that everyone says the Warlock was the go-to class, but they found really the amount of people that played all 3 classes, there was really just a 2% difference in the amounts between the 3 classes played, basically. And again, they all reiterate, and I feel the same way, that all 3 classes, there's no one more powerful class. Each one of them has a specific niche and specific abilities for certain situations, whether it's PvE or PvP. And just to chime in on the geographical location, when I was playing Destiny Beta, for the most part, I was partying up with a bunch of Brits. Besides the fact that they're the funniest people alive, shout out to my boy Popolsky. But when I was playing with them from the UK, really no lag, very smooth connection, whether it was we were playing co-op or we were in the Crucible playing PvP. So then when asked about Nightfall strikes, Jonty basically says, I'll tell you in 4 weeks, but the raids are something that we haven't played yet. And obviously for me, I'm totally new to this type of game where it's a first-person shooter with MMO elements. Hopefully a lot of my subs are, and learning this along with me, like it was with Killzone Shadowfall. I found people were learning along with me because I was a noob at that. But yeah, basically talking about how these types of larger co-op PvE type things will really require a lot of thought behind them, not just jumping in with your favorite class, but really deciding which person will be what class, what specific armor, specific weapons they'll need to win these raids and Nightfall strikes. That they really will be in depth and not just a simple process. And I'm assuming they're going to be pretty difficult, some of them, and will have to be done a couple of times till you finally win them. So really, again, just fine-tuning everything to make it the best experience possible for us playing PvE and co-op, and that also relates to like the public events and I guess looking at metrics to say who's in a particular area when they start those public events, and based on what level they are and so forth. So really looking forward to it. And again, they really want to build a community, want us as players to build a community out of this. And maybe that's why I enjoyed PvE so much, which, as I mentioned before in previous vids, that I never played solo, went straight to multiplayer and did not bother with single player, and I felt that this game really wrote me in with co-op and playing a story. And I think it's because it kind of forces you to participate with other people, to make friends, and a lot of these raids and Nightfall missions will require you to be partied up, to to have friends, and build a community with people that you're going to be choosing to do, whose role is going to be what in all those particular missions and raids. And again, just reiterating things like, say, Old Russia was just the tip of the iceberg. We didn't even see a fraction of it yet, and we haven't even looked at all the other planets. And, for me, I didn't discover half of the things everyone else did discover within Old Russia, and that was just a slight part of what we have to look forward to. So this game's going to keep us busy for a very long time, and it's the biggest game that they've ever worked on, and just can't reiterate enough that there's going to be plenty to do, and we're never going to be bored, and it will be developing organically over time, based on our feedback and what they analyze in terms of their metrics and what's going on within the community. So I thought this quote was really cool, and I'll just read it verbatim. This comes from Jonty in regards to talking about the other worlds. He says, Mercury. He says, oh, and Mercury. There is a multiplayer map, which is the only time you will get to visit Mercury on launch of Destiny 1, and it's called the Burning Shrine. It's one of the most beautiful multiplayer maps. It's right by the sun, so the skybox is incredible. And he says also it has changing Vex blocks, so your sightlines could totally be disrupted during competitive multiplayer. And he also says that it's his favorite map because it's changing reality. So, and then asked right after that, so will we have some co-op or campaign stuff to do on Mercury? They basically said they left it open. They said, who knows where we're going to go with it? That you know, they have so much opportunity with this whole solar system and the ideas they developed. It's going to evolve over time, you know. And again, I just love how this game is going to grow organically with what they see us do, and it's going to be ever changing. Whether you have the expansion packs or not, it's going to keep growing in terms of our individual experiences. And they also actually bring up Old Chicago, which I had never even heard of before, but apparently it was an early concept or early concept art or something like that. It's not going to be there September 9th. However, they really, again, and this is why they've roped me in with co-op and the story mode, is because they want to tell the story through destinations. I've said this before. Big thing with me with not being able to play campaigns or solo is because I just don't have the attention span for cutscenes and basically watching a movie while I'm trying to play the game. So they're telling the story through destinations. So who knows? Maybe we will see Old Chicago. We just don't know when. However, he said there is still a lot of enthusiasm behind Old Chicago. However, it's not been determined just yet. So then when asked about the 6-player limit for raids, you know, that we were kind of hoping for some bigger scale raids, you know, how did they settle in on 6 players? First they talked about just the 3-player fire team and how that, they found that the 3 players was the sweet spot. They were, you know, considering doing a 4-player co-op, but when they looked into the metrics in terms of experience, that 3 was the sweet spot, easier to just jump on, find 2 other people, 2 other friends, make a fire team. As soon as you threw a 4th person in there, it somewhat put a barrier in there. So that was the motivation behind just keeping it as 3-man co-op parties for, you know, for basic fire teams. And as for having 6 players for the raids, you know, they just go back to what they looked at in their analysis of what we do, and looking at a lot of players and combinations of players, and found that again was another sweet spot in terms of how many people can participate in raids. Too many people, they found, could lead to a little bit of chaoticness, and you know, communication fails a little bit when you have just too many people there. So I really like how they're going about this. Is really finding what's the best situation that's going to work for us as players to make it an enjoyable experience. Too many people, it gets a little chaotic, communication breaks down. Too little people, you can't complete it. So I love where they're going with this. So more isn't always better. And with regards to no matchmaking for raids, they intentionally did that. He says that you know, it's a, you know, there's a commitment behind it. It's not a casual type thing. It's definitely something that's a group dynamic and not something just casual. That you can't complete raids with, say, just 5 people. You certainly can't complete raids with just all randoms. You really have to be organized and, again, really decide whose role is going to be what and how to tackle these raids, because they're going to be quite difficult. Also, just it continues along with the philosophy, build a community. Game is much more enjoyable when you have friends and you're talking in orbit and deciding who's going to do what, and I personally love that fact. You know, when I was playing Destiny Beta, not only did I mean, I was in different fire teams every night, because I had either friends from Killzone come over, or I had friends from other clans in Killzone where we were competitive against each other, but now they're part of my clan, J4A, in Destiny. So really, really cool. I had a bunch of people that were watching my stream, and then we just started chatting in the chat room, and then they ended up joining my fire team, or I sent them an invite, and now you know, they're part of my clan, and we were playing the whole time during Destiny Beta. So basically, when the game drops, I have just a whole plethora. I love saying plethora of people to party up with. You know, I've got already a stable, you know, community base. So for those that didn't make a lot of friends, or say didn't, you know, find people to play with during the beta, when you get in this game, that's definitely going to be the recommendation, is really build up a community. Guys, I'll be streaming online. I play with everyone. I play with subs a lot, so feel free to add me on PSN, Mesa Sean, and yeah, I love the community build in this game. So lastly, they address the leveling, and as we know, in beta, getting to level 8 was pretty fast, and it was accelerated, so in the final build, it will be slower. There is a soft cap at 20, and you will go past 20 as you gain motes of light and apply them to your items, and then the cap at that is going to be 30. And as you guys know already, for each class we've got 2 subclasses. So like for the hunter, the first class that you play as is going to be the gunslinger, and then after 15 you lock in which abilities you want, and then you open up the blade dancer. So I'm curious how it's going to work in the final build. Like, can I say have 2 hunters, you know, and I'll level one up and just keep him as my gunslinger, and then open up another hunter character, level him all the way up, and go into the blade dance. So this way I have 2 different ones. I don't even know if that's going to be beneficial. I'm just more curious. So anyway, that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop me that like if you see fit, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks.